Before we get to the news today, before we get to all the exciting stuff that we have to talk about, like the imminent election in Canada of a brand new prime minister, and I'll introduce you to the guy who I think is going to get the job. Not only that, but we've got a border bill basically in Canada that's going to pass. Oh, and get this. Wouldn't you know it, but this continuing resolution that is about as unclean as continuing resolutions can be, that's going to pass too, even though Speaker Johnson said it wasn't going to. Anyway, we'll get to all that here in just a minute. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk. We have to talk about President Donald Trump's hair. This is the big story. This is the big story of the day today. President Donald Trump's hair.
Everybody having a good time?
Oh, yeah, we're having so much fun. We're already having.
Is everybody a Republican?
Yeah, we're all Republicans. So this is what happened yesterday. Apparently, Donald Trump went to play golf at Mar-a-Lago because that's what you do at Mar-a-Lago. You play golf. I mean, you play golf, there's a spa, there's a pool, there's tons of restaurants and places, there's a ballroom. Last time I was at Mar-a-Lago, I interviewed some, high-profile people. There was a movie premiere. There are all kinds of fun things go on at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump likes to play golf, and you can tell he was out there playing golf. He was in his. Let me turn the volume down a little bit. He was in his golf shirt. He was in his golf pants, it looks like. He's got his red MAGA hat in hand, asking if everyone's having a good time. And he wanders into Mar-a-Lago and he asks everybody, he likes to surprise the crowd every now and then. But people noticed that his hair was a little different. They said, some people said it looked like he got a mullet. I don't know about that. Some people said it looked like he slicked it back. Some people thought, he's been living in Florida so long that he wanted to do this crazy new do. But most people, I think, have settled on the fact that it just seems to be hat hair. You playing golf, it's hot as blazes out here in Florida. It's like 89 degrees in December, and you take your hat off, you got all the sweat, everything's pressed down against it. So that could usually the most obvious, they call it Occam's razor. All other factors being normal, the most obvious explanation is usually the correct one. So I'm going to go with hat head. Although, as I pointed out earlier when I did a TikTok about this very subject, I am no expert on hair. I'm not an expert on hair. I'm not an expert on hair care, hat head, hairstyles. Really, hair's not my thing. So I'm gonna leave that to everyone else to speculate. Either way, look, he's having a good time. I don't care. I don't care if Donald Trump is bald, shaves his head, gets dreadlocks, dyes his hair red, white, and blue. I don't care. Grow a mullet, don't grow a mullet, mohawk, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Donald Trump's hair is not the reason that we want him in office. And no matter what his head looks like, he is way better than the alternative. Speaking of which, I don't even want to talk about the alternative. Hey, listen, thanks so much for being here today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you ain't yet subscribed, now would be the best time to do so. Hit the like button, share this with anyone that you want. If you're on Facebook, especially, sharing is caring because Facebook doesn't like us that much and they don't share. They used to share this with everyone. Facebook used to be like, oh, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic is starting. Let's tell everybody. Now they're like, ooh. Let's see if we can keep this under wraps. So if you can share it on Facebook, that'd be fantastic. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, do me a solid and set the notifications. Hit that notification bell because if you like today's show, man, you're going to love the other stuff. You're going to love tomorrow's. You're going to love the other content we've got coming at you. And I've got an announcement about that, too, that I'm going to bring up here in just a minute because I'm very, very excited about it. But it's an easy thing to do, and it'll keep you, it will keep you lousy with Mark Kaye content. And who doesn't want that? All right, so we had a very busy morning this morning, a lot of stuff going on. And before we get to the most influential, you know what, maybe we should start with the most influential person because I think it was kind of interesting to me. There was an article from Mediaite. Oh, let me go back a page. There we go. There was an article from Mediaite, and Mediaite is, oh, hang on. Let me just make sure I do this right. Mediaite is, I'm not a big fan of Mediaite. They're kind of a left-wing liberal organization, and they always, post these rumors and they attack Republicans, and they're just, they're basically just blah. But there is an interesting story that they posted today. I'm trying to get back to the beginning of it. I can't find out how to get back to the beginning of it. There's an interesting thing though. They posted the most influential people in news media for 2024. The most influential people in news media for 2024, and they went through. They had 75 of them, but I just wanted to cover the top few, and I can't figure out. I had the link a moment ago. Now they're making me go through all 75, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna have to go here and edit this. But basically, what happened is the interesting thing is when you look at the most influential people in media for 2024, it shows what we've known, that the tables have turned and that television stars are no longer the stars of information and media. At 25. We'll start with 25. Rachel Maddow, who, man, 5 years ago would have been way higher than this. But Rachel Maddow at MSNBC, a dying network, and a woman who has chosen hatred and anger and angst over actual reporting of the news, it still clocks in at 25 somehow. The View is at 24. Calling these people, by the way, news media, I think is that's a little off-putting for me. It's a little bit of a misnomer, but Mediaite's most influential in news media for 2024 includes Rachel Maddow and the women on The View. Scott Jennings from CNN, that's a good guy. Nate Silver, who I don't know about that one. I want to roll down though, because I want to go to the top 15. That's where it really gets interesting. So 15 is Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan, uncensored. I'll be honest with you, I think it airs somewhere on television, but I only ever see it on the internet. So already, when you look at the top 15, you're starting to see internet personalities. Piers Morgan used to be a staple on television. Now he does his show, and it is one of the biggest things on X. I see clips all the time. And it seems like he's surpassed, again, those big major network productions that shell out millions of dollars for their celebrity hosts. Number 14, Jake Tapper. I think Jake Tapper, of all the CNN hosts, is the highest rated. He has now surpassed, I believe, Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer and all the rest of them to take that top spot. Jesse Waters, who replaced Tucker Carlson on Fox News, comes in at 13. Rashida Jones and Mark Thompson are combined for 12. Now, Rashida Jones and Mark Thompson are in charge of CNN and MSNBC. Mark Thompson is in charge. He's the guy in charge of the CNN network, and Rashida Jones is in charge of MSNBC. I don't know why either of these people are on the list, because the amount of ratings they've lost and revenue they've lost, and MSNBC is basically on the auction block. But I guess before all of that happened, before Donald Trump's election, Mediaite believes that they somehow had some kind of influence. Greg Gutfeld, who just turned 60 and also has a baby. I didn't realize he was 60 years old. Dude looks good for 60. Also, just had a baby, so hopefully he's staying in shape. But Greg Gutfeld comes in at 11. Megyn Kelly, who is also not only off of television, but off of terrestrial radio. Her Sirius XM show and the podcast that she now creates has exploded. I don't know if Megyn Kelly has ever been more popular than Megyn Kelly is today. I don't remember a time, even when Megyn Kelly was on Fox News or NBC or wherever she was, I just can't remember a time when Megyn Kelly was as popular as she is today. And I think it's because Megyn Kelly just decided, you know what, screw it all, I'm going to be Megyn Kelly. I'm going to say the things I want to say. I'm going to do the things I want to do. I'm not going to worry about what anyone thinks about me. I'm not going to worry about getting a job in TV anymore, because when you're competing for TV jobs, when you're competing for that lucrative TV gig, and there's only so many hours in the day that they can fit you in, and when they're paying you a big paycheck and there's consultants, I mean, there's too many damn people in charge of these major mainstream media outlets. I know, I worked for one. I mean, the number of consultants we had for my show outnumbered the number of people on my show. It was really a recipe for disaster. And I think that's why Megyn Kelly is so popular and well received in her new format. And then, of course, you've got Bill Maher, again, HBO, Brett Baer, who's doing okay, Matt Drudge, which is just a waste of time, Joe Scarborough, and Mika Brzezinski, who, calling these people influential is bizarre. Laughable. Jesterish, or clownish, that would be more of a thing. I don't know how MSNBC's Morning Joe team of Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski gets so high on the list, but that to me is just weird. And then let's get to the top 5, because this is where it gets interesting. Sean Hannity, Fox News. He's a staple. He's been there at 9 o'clock forever. He's got the radio show. He's Mr. Fox, basically. And, you know, he's still got the ear of President Donald Trump. He hosts debates between Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis, which I still don't understand why that happened. But he's the guy, and he's going to be the guy. And when it comes to television personalities, he's probably still the most influential on the Fox network, especially with Tucker Carlson leaving or being asked to leave. Number 4 is Charlemagne the God. And this one to me is ridiculous because Charlemagne the God, who's somewhere along the line, the media decided that Charlemagne the God was going to be the voice of black voters everywhere. Every black voter, Charlemagne the God was going to be the face and the voice of all black voters. And they would bring him on television and they would interview him and they would let him interview Kamala Harris and they would let him interview Joe Biden. And they thought this was the guy that was going to be the savior. This guy was going to help propel Kamala Harris into the presidency because, well, she's black. He's black. A lot of black people will vote for whomever he says. Didn't happen. This guy failed miserably. Not only did Kamala Harris not get elected, she didn't even beat Joe Biden. And Joe Biden has a very storied past with Charlemagne the God because he's the guy that Joe Biden said, if you can't decide whether to vote for me or Kamala, then you ain't black. So I don't know why Charlemagne the God made the list, but I'm not really sure what his influence was. He surely didn't influence voters to vote the way the Democrat Party wanted them to vote. Donald Trump won hands down, and Donald Trump won a huge portion of the popular vote, of the African American vote. Number 3 is Suzanne Scott. Suzanne Scott is she's the CEO of Fox News. And apparently she's one of the few CEOs of a news channel that knows how to be lucrative. You know, tell the truth, give the people what they want, don't lie, those kinds of things. And that basically increases your ratings and increases your likability factor. And then when your ratings go up, so does your revenue. And then it gets really interesting. Number 2 is Joe Rogan. So look at this. The CEO of Fox News, the number 1 news network in the world, is number 3. And a dude who works out half the day, hangs out at a comedy club all night, and stops in the middle for 3 hours to do a podcast from Austin, Texas, is number 2. This is the changing media landscape that Van Jones was crying about. This is the changing media landscape that Kamala Harris missed out on. This is the changing media landscape that the voters have embraced, that a lot of other people have embraced, but the Democrats, for whatever reason, have neglected. They're still convinced that Charlemagne the God and Morning Joe are the most influential people in the world and are going to get them where they need to go, when that's not the case at all. Charlemagne the God and Morning Joe and The View and Rachel Maddow, those people have fewer people tuning into them than most podcasts do. I have videos on my YouTube channel that have more views than Morning Joe or The View on an average day. And Joe Rogan, who produces a podcast with the help of like one other guy, maybe he has 2 now, is the second most influential man in media. In a race dubbed the podcast election, it should come as no surprise that the king of the format played a role unlike any other in the news media. Indeed, Joe Rogan's 2024 has been nothing short of colossal. The year began with a $250 million contract renewal from Spotify, making him the highest paid personality in the entire industry. Somehow it's a good deal for Spotify too, as it means the service holds on to the Joe Rogan experience. Then he interviewed Donald Trump, and so on and so forth. And then number 1 is Elon Musk. This is an interesting choice for several reasons. Number 1, Elon Musk is not a television personality. He's not a radio personality. He doesn't even have a podcast. Elon Musk owns X, and he is one of its most prolific users. And Elon Musk has been known to create whenever he says something, whenever he does something, it causes a stir. It makes people move. It showcases momentum. But if you go back 2, 3, 4 years ago, you would not have found anybody on this list whose face or voice wasn't broadcast on a daily basis. It was all TV stars. It was all internet stars. It was all radio hosts. And now Elon Musk, who's just like the richest man in the world with a platform that has now developed into probably the number one delivery system for news is the most influential person that we see. And not only is it influential in the media, but look at his political influence. Elon Musk, just today, he was writing about this continuing resolution. How can this be called a continuing resolution if it includes a 40% pay increase for Congress, which it does? Then he goes, ever seen a bigger piece of pork? He's basically, this bill should not pass. Vivek Ramaswamy, who works with Elon Musk and Donald Trump on the Doge, currently reading the 1,547-page bill to fund the government through mid-March, expecting every U.S. congressman and senator to do the same. Elon Musk simply writes, this bill should not pass. And that's enough. This bill should not pass. It's 5 words, but because they came from Elon Musk's account, it is big news. And guess what? Fox News is talking about it. Fox News is talking about Elon Musk's tweet, which clearly means he is definitely more influential than anyone on television.
So you've got a bunch of Republicans who are angry at you. They don't like this. And just in a couple of weeks, you're going to stand once again to run for Speaker of the House. And you don't need a bunch of Democrats mad at you. But and this is breaking news you do not know. You know who also does not like this? Elon Musk, the world's richest man, just tweeted, this bill should not pass. The only way you're going to be able to pass it now, Mr. Speaker, is with Democrats. If you could, what's your message to Elon Musk?
Well, I was communicating with Elon last night. Elon and Vivek and I are on a text chain together, and I was explaining to them the background of this. And Vivek and I talked last night about almost midnight, and he said, look, I get it. He said, we understand you're in an impossible position. Everybody knows that. Remember, guys, we still have just a razor-thin margin of Republicans, so any bill has to have Democrat votes. They understand the situation. They said, it's not directed to you, Mr. Speaker, but we don't like the spending. I said, guess what, fellas? I don't either. We got to get this done because here's the key. By doing this, we are clearing the decks, and we are setting up for Trump to come in roaring back with the America First agenda. That's what we're going to run with gusto beginning January 3rd when we start the new Congress, when Republicans, again, are in control. And all of our fiscal conservative friends, I'm one of them, will be able to finally do the things that we've been wanting to do for the last couple of years. Right now, Democrats still control the pens, and that's the problem. So we got to get this thing done so we don't have the shutdown, so we get the short-term funding measure, and we get to March where we can put our fingerprints on the spending. That's
okay, so on Fox and Friends, there's Speaker Johnson bumbling through his interview. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the third in line for the presidency, the most powerful Republican outside of Donald Trump currently that we have in elected office, Mike Johnson is on Fox and Friends, and they say, how do you answer to not the voters? How do you answer to not the Republican Party? How do you answer to not even the President of the United States? They ask him, how do you answer to Elon Musk, who went on Twitter and said this bill should not pass? What's your answer to Elon? And Mike Johnson seems to be almost as petrified of Elon Musk as he is of everyone else in his life. He's like, I just talked to Elon. I was talking to Vivek. I was like, guys, we got to do something. And they assured me they knew it wasn't my fault. They knew it wasn't me. They knew that we had to get this passed so that we could start fresh with Donald Trump in 2025. That's the goal. We got to start fresh in 2025. So we got to do something. And then Speaker Johnson went through and basically itemized on Newsmax why this continuing resolution must pass.
This was the conservative play call. We don't normally like what's called a continuing resolution, a CR. But in this case, it makes sense because if we push it into the first quarter of next year, then we have a Republican-controlled Congress and President Donald J. Trump back in the White House will be able to have more say over the funding decisions for 2025. Now, that would have been an easier thing to do, but then we had circumstances outside of our control. We had these emergencies that are required. So we had, as you know, a record hurricane season. We had Helene and Milton, and they just did massive destruction across our red states, frankly, in the southeast and the eastern side of the country. And then we've had farmers who are in jeopardy of permanently going under. They've had 3 lost years in a row because of Bidenomics and inflation and other circumstances outside of their control. And so when you cobble those two things together, there's a desperate need for that aid, and that's what adds another $100+ billion to the bill, and that's why everybody's uncomfortable with it.
All right, that's not necessarily all. Yes, there's a couple $100 million added to the bill for farm subsidies, and yes, there's some disaster relief because Joe Biden did muck that up, but there's other stuff. in the continuing resolution. For example, well, let's just take a look at Punchbowl News, shall we? 2 provisions that directly impact lawmakers were quietly added to the CR. One is a pay raise, and the other is an Obamacare opt-out. Pay raises. It's complicated, but Congress has proactively blocked lawmakers from getting a cost of living adjustment since 2009. This was done by including language in spending bills specifically preventing such pay increases, although other federal employees get them. However, the new continuing resolution includes a provision that amends language in a previous CR that incorporated a provision from an earlier omnibus blocking any member's COLA. Yes, that's how it was done. Members and senators will get a pay raise as a result of this continuing resolution. There's also the argument about Obamacare. Now, something else that they didn't mention is that there is a provision in this CR to allow Washington to start negotiating for land to build the Washington Commanders a brand new stadium. Now, again, I'm not against new stadiums. I'm not against football. I'm not against sports. I'm not against business. I'm not against any of that stuff. But if this is truly the continuing resolution that Mike Johnson says it is, if this is this is a continuing resolution so we can get to 2025, so we can work with the Republicans, and yes, we've got to throw in some farm subsidies and hurricane relief because it's the right thing to do. Okay, great. Well, then why are we also kicking in pay raises and football stadiums? And nobody knows more about football stadiums than Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, who said this bill is a mess.
Merry Christmas, American taxpayer. We're going to buy you a Corvette. Now, you can't pay for it for 100 years, but we're going to buy you a Corvette. It's absolutely ridiculous of what we're doing here. We should get a clean CR. Mike Johnson promised that. The 2 things that we really need, though, is we need help for American farmer because the farm bill has been kicked down the road for 2 years. Maria, we're going to lose 50,000 farms in the next probably 6 months, 50,000 more, and we lost 150,000 in the last 3 or 4 years. And then, of course, the disaster aid for North Carolina, the Biden administration absolutely has dropped the ball on this. But to go out and building stadiums in D.C., hell, they can't even cut the grass in the medians up here. It's a disaster.
Unbelievable.
That's it. Deserved a little rim shot there. But that's basically, where we are on this bill. It's not just what Mike Johnson's saying. It's not as innocent as he's saying. And it's a big problem for a lot of people. One of the other problems that the Republicans have looming over their head is that their majority may not even be a majority. Because there's a woman named Representative Spartz, and she's from, I think it's Indiana. I want to say it's Indiana. And she said that she's infuriated with all this ridiculous spending. She's infuriated with all this out of control spending. She's infuriated. She wants the Doge caucus to do their dirty work, and she wants it done quickly. And until the Doge caucus goes in there and obliterates the wasteful government spending and decreases the size of government and makes sure that the $2 trillion they pledged to save is saved, until that happens, she's not going to caucus with anybody. And that also puts the slim Republican majority, makes it even slimmer and almost non-existent.
Joining us now to discuss is Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz of Indiana. Congresswoman, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you have said that you are going to refuse committee assignments. You're not going to caucus with the Republican Party. In the new Congress, the majority is going to be so slim, at least for the first few months, that any single member of the House could derail legislation as it's going through. There are several priorities that the president-elect, Donald Trump, has said that he has for the new Congress. Are you willing to withhold a vote on those priorities?
No, it's actually the opposite. I want to make sure that President Trump's priorities are actually going to happen through Congress. And unfortunately, this institution haven't been governing. And unfortunately, we are not changing procedures and processes and doing a lot of talking points and messaging bill. And it's not just, leadership of this House right now. It's been happening already for decades. But ultimately, my party will have to take responsibility. So I want to make sure that I put pressure on my leadership to govern and deliver on the great ideas that Elon has, that Vivek has, that President Trump has, and a lot of great people in the administration. That's what matters. Otherwise, it's going to be slow working all executive orders. You saw what's happened in the last 4 years, and all executive orders, were eliminated, and bad things happen. And this is not a way to govern. We have to do this to Congress, and we make sure that President Trump leave his legacy and impact on this great country, which is really in trouble right now.
Okay, so by the way, I think she's from Ukraine. I want to say, if I remember correctly, she's from Ukraine. She's in Indiana. She's a conservative MAGA Republican, and she's saying, look, I don't trust Mike Johnson as far as I can throw this guy, which she could probably throw him pretty far because he's a little dude. But I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and I want to put pressure on him to get things done, and I don't want him kicking the can down the road as he's doing, and I don't want this continuing resolution to pass, and I will not caucus. I will not take any committee seats. I will reduce the Republican majority in all regards, basically, if we don't focus on what we need to focus on, and that is cutting out the wasteful spending.
Are you going to support Speaker Mike Johnson's bid for Speaker when that comes up for a vote at the beginning of the new Congress?
I haven't decided yet. I'll be honest with you. Mike is a very nice human being. He's a brilliant person. Does it have a strength to reform this institution that is broken? I am not sure, and I haven't seen that. I haven't seen structural reforms that he would do to change this institution. Because honestly, all of these committees and messaging, you know it very well. It's just for showmanship. It's just, to actually, raise some money or get on the acts you post. It's not really meaningful. You've seen what's happened in recent CR, and the committee chair of Ways and Means was not part of it. Even committee chairs don't matter. It's done at four-corner deals, and then everyone is getting jam or bought, and this is not the way to govern. That's not what the American people elected us to do, and we had to get attention to this issue.
All right, so he's a good guy. He's a really nice man. He's brilliant, but he's weak. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love him. He's a great man. He's very smart, but is he strong enough to get this done? I don't think so. Man, I got to tell you, if we wake up in January and Congress is back in session and we go another 20 rounds trying to figure out who's going to be the Speaker of the House of Representatives, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm all for it. I love a little chaos. I love a little chaos. I think it keeps everybody on their toes. Now, we don't have Matt Gaetz in the Congress anymore, so it won't be as chaotic, I'm sure, as it was before. I don't even know if anyone's going to have the chutzpah to stand up and say, Mike Johnson's not the guy. We need somebody new. But this continuing resolution is infuriating. It's infuriating a lot of House Republicans. And I know that because I read it on the internet. And the internet never lies. The internet, you can believe 100% of everything you read on the internet. The Hill writes, House Republicans fume at Speaker Johnson over handling of CR, a total dumpster fire. House Republicans are fuming at Speaker Mike Johnson's handling of an end-of-year measure to extend government funding until March, saying it is more like a sprawling omnibus, which they abhor, than a simple temporary funding measure. The continuing resolution, which will keep government funding at current levels through March 14th, is also set to include $100.4 billion in disaster aid for those affected by hurricanes, $10 billion in economic assistance for farmers. It's not a CR, which is a continuation of the budget. It's turning into an omnibus, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said. The final text of the measure has not even been released as congressional leaders work through the remaining hangups. It's a total dumpster fire. I think it's garbage, said Representative Eric Burleson, a member of the conservative House Freedom Caucus. This is what Washington, D.C. has done. This is why I ran for Congress, to try to stop this. And sadly, this is happening again. We get this negotiated crap and we're forced to eat this crap sandwich, echoed Chip Roy. Why? Because freaking Christmas is right around the corner. It's the same dang thing every year. Legislate by crisis, legislate by calendar, not legislate because it's the right thing to do. So the interesting question now is, will all of these Republicans who are fuming at Speaker Johnson and the deal that he made, are fuming at him for funding for allowing the negotiation of the stadium to be included in the CR, for allowing the pay raise for Congress. If they're fuming at him, if they're so mad at him, are they going to vote for this thing? And if they don't, will it pass? Well, the answer is yeah, because there's enough stuff in there jammed in for the Democrats that the Democrats, some of them will cross the aisle, come in, and they will make sure that this thing goes through without a hitch. Now, Victoria Spartz is threatening to basically, she's threatening the entire majority for the next Congress if Mike Johnson does what he's already declared he's probably going to do. And he declared it on Fox News and he declared it on Newsmax, and I'm pretty sure he's going to declare it again later today. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for the representative from Louisiana. Speaking of the Doge caucus, our good buddy Representative Aaron Bean hosted his very first Doge caucus meeting yesterday. And wouldn't you know it, the Doge caucus is very popular with conservative Republicans. Listen to how many people showed up.
Tell me about the meeting. I mean, obviously it was pretty well attended. You had 29 sign up to come, but over 60 attended?
I got 29. 29 signed up to come to the meeting, 60 attended, which means representatives in Congress clearly don't really respect the RSVP, right? Like if you're planning, like what if he was going to have donuts and coffee and he only had donuts and coffee for 29 people? All of a sudden there's 60 there. Not everybody's getting donuts, not everybody's getting coffee. Maybe some of the people who actually signed up and said, yes, I'm coming, were left out in the cold. It's just very disrespectful. But here's what happened.
That's right, Dana. And good morning to you and good morning, Bill. We had a great meeting, a great launch of Doge. There is tremendous interest in breaking this addiction to spending, overspending, and efficiency. And hopefully Doge can have an intervention with this town and break that cycle.
So there were some Democrats that came, I mentioned that, and Pete Aguilar said this about working with Doge.
Democrats are willing to work with anyone to make government more efficient. I think that's the important piece. You know, we want to be responsive to everyday Americans. We will speak out against those policies that hurt our communities. But we're going to listen and have conversations about efficiencies and making government more efficient.
Okay, but then you had Governor Gavin Newsom, also of California, same as Pete Aguilar, saying this.
We've been working, I don't know, before Doge was Doge. I don't know what this is just like a promo project. We've been doing civil service reform in this state. We've been consolidating job classifications. We've been updating job descriptions in this state. California's been a leader in that space.
Do they have a misunderstanding of what Doge is trying to accomplish?
I think they do, it's particularly California. I don't know if Governor Newsom knows, his state is running one of the largest deficits of any state. So overspending is what's causing his state to go in a different direction. It's what's causing our government to go in a different direction. So, and Pete Aguilar's comments right there I think are bold. What we're trying to do is create an environment of trust where Republicans and Democrats can come together and we can work together and not be afraid of each other, not be afraid of the debate. America is demanding change now, and we have a limited window to bring it to them.
Okay, so there you go. You got Aaron Bean, who's sporting, by the way, the Donald Trump look with the dark blue suit and the red tie. And he's talking about the Doge caucus, which he's a founding member of, and how it's very popular, and he attacking Gavin Newsom, who, by the way, I don't know why do we care what Gavin Newsom thinks about the Doge caucus? The guy's not a senator. He's not a congressman. He's governor of one of the worst run states in the country. We all know about the deficit in California. We all know about the wasteful spending. He's all excited because he's been rewriting job requirements or job descriptions. Whoa. Wow. You've been rewriting job descriptions in California? Fantastic. Great job. How's that working for you? Not very well, because a lot of people are still moving from California to Texas, to Nashville, to Florida, to Oklahoma, to places that are not California. Why? Because they don't want to live there. They don't want to live in a place that has and pushes that kind of deficit. They don't want that. They want their money to be spent on things that they need, that they want, that they believe are important, and the rest of it they want to be able to keep to spend on things that they decide to spend their money on. What's California's income tax up to? 60, 65% more if you're in a certain tax bracket? That's why the Doge caucus is so important. That's why the Doge caucus is so popular. And that's why Elon Musk, once again, is the most influential media personality of 2024 and is probably, I'm going to be honest with you, on par to become the most influential media personality of 2025 as well. He also spoke out about the Canadian election, which I want to try to find this. There's a guy running. I don't even know if he's running or if he's just going to be. I guess at this point, I don't think you run. I think the people in Canada know what's going to happen. They're going to vote for the other party, and the other party is going to vote for Pierre Poilievre. But Elon Musk, he tweeted something or retweeted something about Pierre Poilievre yesterday, basically anointing him or pointing to him to be the next prime minister of the state of Canada, or I guess the next governor of the great state of Canada. And I'm trying to find the tweet. I'm going to play you a clip, by the way, from Pierre Poilievre. If you don't know him, and he is kind of, if you think about it, he's kind of the Donald Trump of Canada. He's the guy that's against immigration. He's the guy or illegal immigration. He's the guy that's pro deporting illegal immigrants and criminals. He's the guy that anything that Donald Trump says is good for the United States of America, Pierre Poilievre says is good for Canada. And there's a clip that came out yesterday. They asked him about Israel and preemptive strikes on Iran.
Yesterday you said that you endorse Israel proactively defending itself by hitting Iran's nuclear sites, which is something that President Joe Biden does not endorse. Do you not feel like this could lead to a likelihood of an all-out conventional war between Iran and Israel? And do you not agree with Joe Biden and his assessment?
I think the idea of allowing a genocidal, theocratic, unstable dictatorship that is desperate to avoid being overthrown by its own people to develop nuclear weapons is about the most dangerous and irresponsible thing that the world could ever allow. And if Israel were to stop that genocidal, theocratic, unstable government from acquiring nuclear weapons, it would be a gift by the Jewish state to humanity.
Okay, so there you go. He's not against taking out Iran. He's not against preemptive strikes to destroy their nuclear capabilities. He's not against stopping, a tyrannical terrorist state to have weapons of mass destruction. He's like, look, if Israel wants to do it, it's all Israel. Go Israel. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. Take out Iran. If we can't do it, no. If you can't do it, no one can. There's all kinds of great cheers and things that we can have for that. But this is the guy he's the total opposite of Justin Trudeau. He's like the anti-Trudeau. And that could only be good for the state of Canada and also the world. By the way, Donald Trump continues his incessant trolling of Canada. Yesterday, he was up late. And he was on Truth Social because that's what Donald Trump does. He stays up late. He goes on Truth Social and he wrote, "No one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over $100 million a year. Makes no sense. Many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it's a great idea. 51st state." And then, of course, everyone started writing hashtag 51st state. That became the big thing. So Donald Trump's pushing. He's not letting go, man. He's riding this joke as far as he can. And I'm all for it. Like I said, I love a good joke that never ends. I love continuing the narrative of Canada becoming the 51st state, of the new prime minister becoming basically the governor. And no one would be a better governor of the 51st state of Canada, in my humble opinion, than Pierre Poilievre, the Canadian answer to President Donald Trump. But here's the problem. Canada right now has a population of 40 million people, which is more than California. It's more than Texas. It's more than New York. It's more than Florida. It would become the largest state by population. And in becoming the largest state by population, guess what? It would also have the most electoral votes, and it would have the most representatives in Congress. So I feel like that's not necessarily the way to go. I feel like we need to divvy it up. What I would like to see is, instead of maybe making it one state, breaking it up a little bit, or expanding states. Like I'll give you a perfect example. Montana borders Canada, right? And you could just, in fact, let me just see if I can pull up a map here. Map of U.S. and Canada. I guess I should write Canada because, all right, here's a good one. This one will suffice. So here we go. Let me just show you on the map here. So here you go. You got Montana borders Alberta and Saskatchewan. I feel like you could just take Montana up a couple hundred miles, and carve out a piece of Alberta and Saskatchewan. Alaska, the Yukon, just combine those two because, I mean, look, they're basically very similar as it is. Over here, when you look over here on the East Coast, where you have Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire and all those places, they border Quebec, which I'm going to be honest with you, I would just give Quebec back to the French because we don't really need it anyway. Michigan could incorporate parts of Ontario, but not the liberal parts. Now, we don't want Toronto and Michigan coming together. Toronto and New York can come together because let's face it. I mean, they're both liberal and they're both right across the lake from each other. So that would make it easy. And then whatever's left, you could create new states from. But I don't like just giving all of this power to the 51st state. I would rather the states, the good states, the states that have shown that they are productive members of American society. North Dakota, for example. Let's expand North Dakota. Or we could just make South Dakota and North Dakota a state called Dakota, and then Manitoba could become its own state. That would be something that we could look into, and whoever succeeds Doug Burgum could just become the governor of Manitoba. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe Donald Trump's serious. Maybe he's just playing. But you know what? It's the Christmas gift that just keeps on giving. Donald Trump continuing to push for 51st statehood for Canada is something that I never knew that I wanted to happen as much as I wanted it to happen. All right. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for day 10. I can't believe it's day 10. That means there's just 2 more days left in the 12 days of Christmas. I remember when we were videotaping these. I remember when we were meeting our Kaye's kids. I remember when we were I remember we were going, okay, well, we're not on the radio anymore. How are we going to do this? And we came up with this amazing new concept, this new format for our Kaye's kids 12 days of Christmas. And it seems like it was just yesterday, but now not only were we able to do it with the help of Dreams Come True, but now we're almost done with it. We got 2 more left, and that's it. So I want to take a minute here to share with you the story of Jared, who is one of the happiest and nicest Kaye's kids we've ever met in our 10 years of doing this. But also, by far, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say he's also the tallest. I give to you now, Jared, our Kaye's kid, for day 10 of the 12 days of Christmas. All right, we're setting up for Jared. He's 16. We got a lot of teenagers this year, too. And he's got Williams syndrome, which just causes all kinds of problems. We're going to talk to him. And then, he wanted an iPad for Christmas. So guess what we got him? An iPad for Christmas. I'm excited. Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Are you Jared?
Yep, I'm the guy.
You're taller than I expected. Have a seat. How you doing?
Pretty good. You?
Good. Nice to meet you. I'm Mark.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about you.
Thanks so much for coming here today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Did they tell you why you're here? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. We wanted to sit down and interview you and talk a little bit to you. Is that cool?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool with me.
How old are you, Jared?
I'm 16.
You're 16 years old. That's amazing. And how tall are you?
I don't even know.
Yeah, this is really, really tall. You're over 6 feet. You're like Barron Trump tall.
Oh, God.
You know who that is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's very, very tall, that guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And can you tell us how you kind of got involved with Dreams Come True?
Well, I have a heart condition.
Yeah.
I have Williams syndrome and a valsinosis or something.
Something with a lot of letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long have you had? Is that something you were born with, or is that something?
Yeah.
So when you say you have a heart condition, what does that mean? Is your heart not working properly, or does it cause any problems for you?
It's blood flow.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about.
Yeah. No, that's right. And do you go to the hospital a lot?
No.
No? Just, are you doing any treatments or anything?
Not really.
No? Huh.
There's nothing to.
It's not curable.
Nothing really that they can do.
Oh, yeah, I take day by day.
That's awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Well, you were such a happy guy.
I sure am. I love to be happy.
Yeah.
Christmas time is almost here.
Well, did you notice we decorated for Christmas?
Yeah, this is my favorite thing right here, these nutcrackers.
You like nutcrackers?
I have a collection at the house.
Who knew? How many do you have in your collection?
Oh, let me see. 15 at least.
Wow. Are they the kind of nutcrackers that have, like, some of them are sports teams, some of them are pirates and stuff?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah. What else do you like about Christmas besides your nutcracker
Spending
collection?
time with family.
That's so good.
That's what I take. Gifts are things I do like too, but basically the main thing is it's about Jesus.
Yeah.
The man who walked the world.
Mm-hmm. He sure did. He walked the world, and he was born, he saved us all.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. And we can celebrate his birthday.
Yes, we can.
With family.
Yes, we can.
Oh, that is so great. You were just so fun to talk to.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Jared, listen, since you brought up Christmas and Jesus and gifts, we like Christmas as well. In fact, every year I love, as you can tell, I'm dressed up.
Oh, I do that too.
Oh, yeah? You dress up like Santa?
I sure do.
Can you give me a good ho, ho, ho?
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, wow. That was really good. I wasn't expecting. Do it again.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah. Well, listen, since you came out here and since you talked to us about your dream and about your Williams syndrome and everything else, we thought since it's so close to Christmas, we can't let you go without opening at least one Christmas present.
Oh, okay.
Yeah? Are you cool with that?
Oh, I'm cool with it.
You're fine opening a Christmas present?
Don't matter to me.
Okay, perfect. Well, here's what we're going to do. I have here some jingle bells, and on the count of 3, I want you to ring the jingle bells, and then our elf is going to come and appear out of nowhere with a Christmas gift for you. You believe that?
I sure do.
Oh, good. I'll let you. It's very trustworthy. All right, here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look, there she is. It worked. Wow, look at that. Does that say Jared?
It sure does.
Did we spell it properly?
You sure did.
Okay, all right, perfect. We're going to go ahead and crack that open, and let's see what you got from for Christmas. Are you going to open the small one first?
Let's see what's in here. Oh, my gosh.
What is it?
It's Georgia Bulldog.
Oh, do you like the Georgia Bulldog?
I sure do.
Go Dogs.
Sick 'em.
Yeah. This looks like a Georgia Bulldog. It looks like some kind of cover or something. That's interesting. What's in that box?
I'm trying to see. No way. A brand new iPad.
Woo! Did you want a brand new iPad?
Oh, I've been wanting one.
Oh, yeah? Oh, you don't have one?
Well, Mom did a little something to it.
Oh, Mom broke your iPad and you needed a new one.
I sure did.
Well, look at this. We got you a brand new iPad, and this is a cover for it.
Oh, wow.
So you pop that on it, and then everyone will know you know, go Dogs. Sick 'em. Like, go here, pop that on the back. See if that fits in there. Oh, that looks great. What do you think?
I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, Jared. Thanks so much. Listen, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Same to you.
I'll tell you, man, that guy you can't not be jolly when you're talking to Jared. That was just one of the nicest people, not even kids, nicest people I've ever met. Great attitude, so happy, loved his gift. And we hung out for like 30 more minutes after that. We took pictures. We were talking more. We were talking about sports. He introduced me to his family and his Williams syndrome. I didn't know. That's the thing. You never know. There's so many conditions out there that these kids are afflicted with. And it's an interesting syndrome. And like you said, there's no cure for it. And the prognosis isn't usually a positive outcome. But one of the things you can tell there is that there's no fear in any of the people that have, well, they talk to anybody, they go up to strangers, they're just happy-go-lucky, no stress whatsoever. And that is truly one of the odd side effects, but one that you could tell there in Jared's spirit, which was so vibrant and so exciting to be part of for just a little while. And again, thanks to all of you. Thanks to everybody who donates to Kaye's Kids throughout the year. Thanks to everyone who comes to our poker tournament, and for everybody who watches and shares these stories, because we put them up on our Kaye's Kids Facebook page, and we allow people to share them with others and really get into the true. And it really get into the true spirit of Christmas as a result. All right, one more piece of news that I wanted to share with you. This happened actually, there's a couple more things. What do we do first? Do we talk about John Fetterman first? Maybe we do. John Fetterman, who is one of my favorite Democrats, really my favorite Democrat, I think. I don't like many Democrats. There may be a hand, I could probably count them on one hand. But John Fetterman is at the top of the list. And not just because I think he's a closet Republican or because he realizes that Pennsylvania is no longer a blue state. And so he can kind of open up a little bit with his support of Israel and with his, with his desire to be more commonsensical than some of his compatriots. Now that Bob Casey's out of office and he's the senior senator from Pennsylvania, which is still mind-boggling. I probably shouldn't say mind-boggling when I'm talking about John Fetterman. That's just, someone's going to accuse me of making fun of his stroke. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's John Fetterman. So John Fetterman yesterday is in his office in the Senate, And RFK Jr. walks in. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. comes in. He's coming in for meetings, and he's gonna talk to these senators. He's gonna try to woo them. He's gonna try to get them to confirm him for Health and Human Services Director because he's Donald Trump's choice. And RFK Jr. I mean, first of all, he's a Kennedy, and any Democrat, I don't care who you are, John Fetterman or John, other Democrat, I don't know, it doesn't matter who you are. You always have admiration for the Kennedys, even Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This guy's like a legend. I mean, his dad was Robert F. Kennedy. His uncle was John F. Kennedy. If you're a Democrat, these people, he's iconic and his family are icons. So there's a little bit of rock star syndrome that goes on when some of these Democrats are meeting Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And John Fetterman, I don't know what he's doing in his office. I don't know what's happening in there. God, probably nothing. But John Fetterman hears that RFK Jr. is in the hallway, jumps up and runs out to meet him and shake his hand. Look at this. There's RFK Jr. He's walking down the hall. There's Fetterman, just waiting for him. And he's like, Senator. Good. Did he call him Senator? What did he call him? Let me hear that again. Okay, I think you just said Kennedy. I don't know what you do, but I mean that's a moment right there. That is John Fetterman realizing the gravity of this moment and saying, "Hey, I'm going to jump out and meet this guy. I'm going to shake his hand, even though this is a Donald Trump appointee, even though this is a Democrat who turned his back on his entire party and his entire heritage to support and to promote Donald Trump for president." He said horrible things about the Democrat Party. RFK Jr. has said the Democrat Party is no longer the party of my uncle, of my father. The Democrat Party is no longer the party of the Kennedys. The Democrat Party is no longer the party of the working man or the people. The Democrat Party has become this inflated party that is for big government and corruption and all these other terrible, horrible, no good, very bad things. And here's John Fetterman jumping up to run out and shake the guy's hand. Why? It's a Kennedy. It'd be like, one of the, one of the members of One Direction coming to your kid's school. Although there's not, that's a bad example because I know there's fewer of them now than there were about like a month ago. Anyway, so that was an interesting thing that happened with RFK Jr. going into the Hill, going into the Senate building to have his meetings and make sure that he's going to get confirmed without a problem whatsoever. Then back here in Florida, our Attorney General, Ashley Moody, who many people believe could be the next senator from Florida, because look, we still have Marco Rubio, who's going to get confirmed. He's going to be the Secretary of State. He's leaving his position. And the Senate seat here in Florida is an appointed position by the governor. Governor Ron DeSantis is going to think about it over the holidays. He's going to meet with people, talk to people. He's going to make his decision. Is it going to be Laura Trump? Could be. President Donald Trump mentioned that the other day at Mar-a-Lago. Didn't seem like he was too confident. He said, look, Ron DeSantis is a good guy. He's a good governor. He's going to make his choice, and it's going to be a good choice no matter who it is. Is it going to be, I've heard Byron Donalds' name, although a lot of people think Byron Donalds maybe will run for governor after Ron DeSantis leaves. Some people even floated the idea that Ron DeSantis would want the job himself and he would step down, have his lieutenant governor take over so that he could be appointed senator. That, I don't know if that's the move right there. I don't know if that's the way to go. But Ashley Moody is also a contender, as she is the Attorney General of the state of Florida. And she made an announcement this morning about Donald Trump's second assassin or attempted assassin, Ryan Routh. Listen to this.
To that promise to be transparent and accountable, as we both assured when we stood here and talked about our intent to investigate. The affidavit is 18 pages long. We will provide that to you immediately following this press conference. I will go into a little bit about the charge that underlies this attempted felony murder. Following the assassination attempt, the defendant chose to flee north on I-95. At this point, he was expected to have been the shooter based on witness testimony, and that was informed to those officers that were stopping him. Once they located him, protecting the public, not knowing what was in that vehicle in terms of explosive devices, they had to stop traffic in both directions in order to effectuate the stop, make the arrest, and assure the safety of the public.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Basically, and again, she's a great attorney general, but her microphone's horrible. So we need to remedy. It's the state of Florida. It's like the third richest state in the nation. I think we would we'd probably be able to afford a better microphone, but evidently not. Maybe we're fiscally conservative and we're going with the old equipment. But basically, she's saying they're bringing up murder charges on Ryan Ruff, and that he's going to be charged with murder, or I'm sorry, he's going to be charged with attempted murder is the correct charge because he didn't actually murder anyone. But they're going to throw the book at him. They're going to do everything they need to do here in the state of Florida because that's where the assassination attempt happened. And they're going to put this guy away forever because you can't roll into Florida and try to assassinate one of our citizens, especially if they're the decided candidate for the Republican Party for president of the United States. You can't do that. And we need to lay down the law. And that is why Ashley Moody got up there today to say, hey, here's what's up. Here's what's happening. Here's what's going down. And we're not going to stand for it. We're not going to let these kinds of crimes happen. If you come into Florida with the idea of doing dirty deeds, then you are going to, you got another thing coming. Now, speaking of doing dirty deeds, I guess there's one last thing I wanted to mention, and that's Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, yesterday we discussed at length how she is going to be, I guess you would say, investigated by the FBI when Kash Patel takes over in January. Liz Cheney has been deemed by the GOP, by the House GOP Committee of Oversight, to be not just a very bad Republican, somebody who is suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, but also somebody who broke the law, tampered with witnesses, skirted the legal process, and did so with the sole desire or the sole goal of trying to punish Donald Trump and keep him from ever running from office again. And you can't do that when you're on a Senate subcommittee. You can't tamper with witnesses. You can't skirt legal precedent. You can't go around somebody's lawyer. But the evidence that the GOP Oversight Committee claims that they have says, hey, this happened, and so we are recommending that the FBI investigate her for crimes of witness tampering and so on and so forth. And she just went ballistic, man. She's like, this is gross. This is ridiculous. This didn't happen. It's a lie. It's a miscarriage of justice. But Donald Trump, who we pointed out earlier was up late, 3 a.m., he went on Truth Social. At 3 a.m., Donald Trump said, Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble based on the evidence obtained by the subcommittee, which states that numerous federal laws were likely broken by Liz Cheney, and these violations should be investigated by the FBI. Thank you to Congressman Barry Loudermilk on a job well done. Newsmax by Greg Kelly. Just throwing a little shout out to Greg. Maybe he was up watching Greg Kelly at 3 a.m. because I think what they do is they repeat those things throughout the night. And he had Newsmax on. He was watching Greg Kelly, and he was like, oh, I should probably write something on Truth Social about this. But basically, Donald Trump doubling down on what the GOP committee headed up by Representative Loudermilk said about Liz Cheney and her potential crimes and the need to investigate her further. The FBI, the top law enforcement agency in the country, needs to investigate her further and probably will, which again leads me to believe that somebody's going to be getting a preemptive pardon for Christmas from Joe Biden. Because at this point, it seems preemptive pardons are just inevitable for all these people. Because like we said, what does Joe Biden, what does he have to lose? He's already lost the election. He got thrown out by his own party. He's already lost his integrity because he pardoned his own son. He's lost his mind, a lot of people feel. That's the rumor now, that he's basically just brain dead wandering around the White House, and we're not really sure who's in charge. So really, what else do you have to lose? Whoever's running the White House could easily grant a preemptive pardon to Liz Cheney and Adam Schiff and whoever else they want to save before they get thrown out for good. Listen, speaking of saving, we have a brand new community that we created, and it's fantastic. We've grown it by 500 members, just almost like that. And it's our ACES community. It stands for American Conservative Empowerment Society. And heading into 2025, one of our goals is not just to continue to bring you the news and continue to let you know what's going on with the world and how people are trying to do you dirty and how you can protect yourself, but also how you can grow and truly take advantage of what's going to be the next golden age in America. Donald Trump is going to come in and there's going to be economic benefits to be had by everybody. There's going to be all kinds of opportunity for everybody. There's also going to be adversity for Republicans because the Democrats are going to double down. And they're going to come up with dirtier tricks, and they're going to continue to try and cancel you and dox you, and they're going to come back even angrier and stronger than they ever have before. They're regrouping right now. They're hibernating, but they'll come back after the inauguration, and we're going to have to deal with them. And that's why we created ACES. And if you'd like to join, it's free to join. You go to InsideAces.com, InsideAces.com, and one of the things you get for free is my brand new course called Cancel Proof Cash Flow. It's based on a book I wrote last year called Cancel Proof, which was hugely successful, very popular. Everybody loved it. And now we've turned it into a video course taught by moi that you can get for free, so you can learn all about it. You can see what's going on. You can maybe get some ideas of how you can benefit from all of the opportunity that Donald Trump's going to bring back to the United States of America. And then most importantly, how to cancel proof yourself so that you're not going to be taken advantage of or doxxed or deleted by the big tech tyrants of Silicon Valley, or by any Democrats who just don't like you because of your political stance or who you voted for. This is what we do. You know, every day on this podcast, what we do is we share with you who the enemy is, how they're attacking you, the lies they're telling, the propaganda they're pushing. We try to tell you the truth, and we try to tell you what's really happening. And ACES is a way for us to bring you even more information in a centralized location that you can access whenever you want. It's a community where you can go and discuss with other American conservatives who are looking to empower themselves and their families about all kinds of different topics. So if you get a minute, head to InsideAces.com. There's also a link in the description of this video if you want to click it out, check it out that way. Now, we will be live tomorrow for our last show before Christmas break, our last live show. And wait, it's Wednesday? Sorry. We'll be live tomorrow and Friday for our last 2 live shows before Christmas break. And then next week we are off from the live shows, but we've still got 2 more days of our Kaye's Kids 12 Days of Christmas. We've still got 2 more days to rake Republicans who vote for this continuing resolution over the coals. We've still got 2 more days to figure out what's going to happen after the break when we come back. We've still got 2 more days to talk about whatever senators are holdouts on whichever nomination. Look, DC is going to go and be quiet for a while, but not for another 2 days. And these next 48 hours are going to be crucial to the future, to the kickoff of President Donald Trump's first 100 days. The first 100 days for Donald Trump's presidency are going to set the tone for the next 4 years. And by setting the tone for the next 4 years, it will set the tone of this country for decades to come. So it's very, very important that Donald Trump gets everything that he needs so his first 100 days are so effective, so efficient, so well run, and that there's nothing stopping him. But in the next 48 hours, there's a lot that could happen to stop him. So we'll be here both days to keep you apprised of all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and share and set those notifications, because we're going to be bringing you content repeatedly throughout the weekend, throughout the break, and well into next year. Because look, again, we're excited about 2025. We're excited to take control of the government. But when you're at the top of the mountain, there's only one way to go, and that's for somebody to kick your butt down. And we don't want to roll all the way down the hill. We don't want to find ourselves at the bottom of the ravine. And that means we've got to continue to fight, 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 and save the Republic. Oh, there it is. We'll see you inside Aces. By the way, tomorrow we have a Q&K call. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like, you can check out Inside Aces and find out how to be part of our live Q&K call tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. All right, I'll see you there.